Awesome. Hi, everyone. My name is Heer Patel. I'm actually one of the team leaders for the RHSA Scholars Academy. Thank you all for coming. As you know, today we're going to be having a conversation with Jackie. So without further ado, Jackie, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Heer. Hi, everybody. I've met some of you. It's good to see you again. So I'm Jackie Cow. I am the RHSA success coach. I just started working in this position back in September. So I kind of started at the same time as you all, minus, orientation, and if you were here for like summer programs and whatnot. So I was actually a student at UMass Lowell. I graduated in 2017. And I have been I started working in higher ed as a student. I was a tutor at first, and then I worked for orientation for 3 years, 2 years as an orientation leader and 1 year as the student supervisor. Then I worked for RA for a year, for Res Life for a year. And I was in a bunch of clubs. I was really active in college, and then that totally changed. When I graduated, I got a job and I was like, yeah, this is good. I'm just gonna chill in this job for a while before I start doing other stuff. So I worked at Mount Wachusett Community College for a while in the admissions office. Hi, Felix, welcome. It's good to see you again. So I worked in the admissions office at a community college for a while, as an admissions assistant and then as a senior admissions counselor. And then I came back to UMass Lowell. I'd actually been trying to get back to UMass Lowell for a while, but I was working on my master's degree throughout the time I was at Mount Wachusett Community College. And I really liked the environment and I liked the people that I worked with. So I was kind of hesitant to leave because it was a great team. But I really missed the 4-year atmosphere with a community college. Students are there for 2 years. The admission process is really quick. And I didn't really get to have like a longer working relationship with the students. It was a really brief admissions process. So when I worked with them through the admissions office, it was a really quick meeting, or I only met with them 2 or 3 times. And I kind of worked for, unofficially, I kind of worked for advising as well. I just sort of moved back and forth between the offices. And when I worked as an advisor, even then, only 2 years was just not quite what I wanted. I wanted an extended working relationship with my students. So I really, once I was almost done my master's, still finishing it, so close to done. When I was almost done my master's, I was like, okay, it's time. And I started applying to jobs at UMass Lowell. And I came here and I worked for the Centers for Learning, Advising and Student Success. I know my boss's title, my office's title. So I worked there as the LSAMP coordinator. And if you have not heard of LSAMP and you're a STEM student who is a minority in the STEM field, you should pay attention because they are a fantastic grant. They're in the process of being renewed. So we're just waiting for the paperwork to go through and see if they get renewed again. But if they are, they will have stipends, 17 stipends to give out. Well, approximately 17. I guess it depends on how much money they have. And that's basically just free money for students to do research on or off campus. And sometimes they'll let you have the grant if you're doing an internship. A lot of students, the big purpose of it is a lot of students, especially minorities in the STEM field who are doing research on campus or off campus. They oftentimes can't get paid. A lot of the professors have grants to pay their students, but some professors just don't have the money, but they do have the room in their laboratories to hire students to do work. And if you are a freshman, that is a great time to start freshman year and sophomore year. Professors absolutely love hiring freshmen and sophomore students because they can get you started early with research. I feel like I'm totally going off on a tangent. I'm plugging LSAMP because I love LSAMP. So they love to teach you the skills early to start research so that you can do higher level work as you go on with your studies. So keep that in mind, LSAMP. And if you have any questions about it, absolutely feel free to reach out to me. I can give you a rundown of what it is. And thanks, Nesma. I can give you a rundown of what it is and get you in contact with their office. So they should find out about their renewal sometime in mid to late spring, probably. And then they'll have stipends for the end of spring into all of the summer, and then the cycle renews and they'll have new stipends for the next year. So keep that in mind. So anyways, I worked at LSAMP. Now I'm the success coach. Absolutely love my job. And just saying, if you want to come see me, I have tons of food and snacks and stickers and coffee and tea that I totally stole from the supply plaza. Sorry, Esmeralda. And just tons of food for you. If you are hungry ever at all, my office is the 5th floor. Well, currently right now, we might be moving, but right now, my office is on the 5th floor of O'Leary, 500A. I know where my office is. And my door is always unlocked. So if you're studying late, feel free to come on in and have some snacks, get some coffee and whatnot. So
Jackie, I have a question before we start. What about your position now makes you so enjoy it so much?
Yeah, so even back in high school, I really loved the school environment. I just love education and I love learning. But I knew that I didn't want to be a teacher. I loved tutoring, but I also knew that it was a lot of work. It was really fulfilling, but it was a lot of work, and the kind of minutia. It was the kind of work that I wasn't willing to do every single day for years on end. But I did love the environment. I love helping people. I always have. I was one of the executive board members of a community service club in high school, and all of my jobs as a student employee were based around helping people. And I had to do a lot of self-exploration. For a long time, I thought I wanted to be this and that. And then I tried the jobs, and I worked in admissions. I loved admissions, working for orientation for 3 years, loved it. And then I realized that I wanted a better connection with my students, and I wanted that working relationship that was a little bit longer. So it just it was a development over time, figuring out that what I wanted to do and why I love working here so much. But after a while, I kind of did some self-exploration. That's corny, I guess, as that sounds. And just kind of figured out who I am and what I want. And I realized that I really love working with college students. I particularly, not just any college students, but college students who need a little bit of extra help. And that term is really broad. It could be somebody to say yeah, it's totally okay to email your professor right now, no problem, and then that's all they need. Or it could be somebody who has a lot going on in life and they just need help getting connected to resources and finding finding ways to develop support networks. And those could be support networks with your friends or your family, or support network with the people on campus that you know. If you have a job and you love your coworkers, that could be a support network. So just developing. Anyways, I feel like I always go off on tangents. Sorry, guys. So basically helping students who need extra assistance sometimes, or just I wanted to be an advisor for a while, but a lot of advising, not that I'm not saying that you don't help students when you advise, but it was a lot of course registration and skill development, which I love to do, but I also like to have really more deep conversations with my students. Not that advising doesn't have deep conversations with their students. Advisors are great. I really loved my time in advising, but I really wanted to do program planning. So the events like this, and helping students with for instance, I help with Project On-Ramp, which is a program, I suppose, that helps RHSA students get connected to life science internships. So I help students with a lot of career services related information. So resumes, interview skills, getting them connected with resources like getting a Padfolio or accessing professional clothing if you can't afford it. A lot of coaching in how to present yourself professionally. Right now, I'm a terrible example. I'm like all hunched over. But presenting yourself professionally at an interview, and helping students, like I've had students who are nervous to go to a career fair, so I'll go to the career fair with them. It's just a lot of that kind of work that I really love. But overall, I just love talking to students, and I love like working with like everybody, all of the student employees, and working with the students who come to see me about various different things that they just need help with. And this job provides me the time to do the kind of to work with the kind of I don't know how to word this, but to work with students in the way that I want to work with them. Whereas like other jobs that I've had, I didn't really have that kind of time, if that makes sense. Thank you. Shall
Wow,
we move on to the
Jackie,
questions?
you're amazing. And because you're amazing, I have some questions for you. Are you ready?
Sure, yes. Yeah, I am.
Okay. So, say like I was a student and I had some question and I don't know, like, what to do. So here's something, Jackie's a success coach, but I don't know how to approach her. What should I do to get in touch? Because I need the help, but I'm hesitant to do so. Jackie, how do I approach?
Okay. I feel like this is kind of a two-parter. So if you're nervous about approaching, or you're not sure, like whether you want to approach me, you can always ask somebody in RHSA, and that could be your peer leader, it could be your faculty advocate, it could be a friend that has talked to me, or just you could just ask around and say like, hey, I know we're in RHSA together, like, do you think I should talk to the success coach? Honestly, my answer is always yes. I would absolutely prefer if you come to me and like it is a super simple question that takes 2 seconds to answer and you booked like a 30-minute appointment. I would so much rather like us go overboard to try and help you than you not reach out to us when we could have helped you, if that makes sense. So if you're just like nervous about approaching me, feel free to talk to your peer leader about it, or whoever it is that is part of your support network. And on the other side of that, if you don't know how to reach out to me, I have sort of over time learned like different ways to help students reach out to me. So if you want to make an appointment, there's a few different ways. You can email me, although that one's a little iffy because sometimes my email, because I do advising, especially around the time when registration opens, my email gets totally flooded with advising questions. So email is one way, but it's probably not the best way. To make an appointment with me, you can go to your Now dashboard, so uml.edu/now, NOW. And sorry, I don't know if you guys can hear the notifications. Thank you. Esmeralda put it in the chat. So uml.edu/now. Go to My Academics, and there should be a big blue button right in the middle of the page, and it says schedule an advising appointment. I'm listed as an advisor on there just to make it easy for you guys to make an appointment with me. That is the best way to get a hold of me, because then you block out a time just for you and us to talk. You and I, us. I'm multiple people now. So you can make an appointment that way. I have a separate appointment scheduling app that I use, but I prefer not to use that just because all of the information is easier for me to access if you schedule it through the Now dashboard. And so that includes like if you have registration questions or financial aid questions, I can take a look and see like if there's any information through the UMass system that I can use to help you. So email, making an appointment. You could also message me through Discord. So I made my own like staff Discord for students to use to meet with me. And it is, I'm taking a look at it right now. So it's Jackie Cow RHSA. It's case sensitive and there's numbers, so I'll make sure to email you. You know what? I'll put it in the chat right now, actually. So if you have Discord and you would prefer to message me through Discord, you don't have to add me as a friend. You can literally just send me a Discord, direct message. So I put my Discord tag in the chat and I have that up all day. If you prefer to text, the phone number that I have, so if you look me up on the UML website, there's a phone number listed. That is a landline, so you can only call that. That's my office number. So I made a Google Voice connected to my phone number, so that students can text me. So I will also put that in the chat. It's 978-728-9566. So if you want, you can text me. If you have like a quick question, I'll try to get to you as soon as possible. But honestly, the best way to get your questions answered is to make an appointment with me. Sorry, I feel like those answers were really long. I'll try to keep it shorter. Thank you though.
All good information. I have more questions or more scenarios.
Oh my goodness. Wow, really? Thank you.
So, if I'm failing class and I don't know what to do, should I drop it? And is this something I could ask you?
Yes, absolutely. You can ask me. So, this can be a complicated question. And sometimes there's information that I'm not privy to that you'll have to ask your faculty advisor about. There are some majors that I'm not completely familiar with, so we might be meeting and I might have to ask another advisor, either a professional advisor or a faculty advisor about that information. But absolutely, always feel free to come to me if you're not sure about whether you're going to pass a class or should drop it or not. Something to keep in mind, especially right now, is the departments of each college will hold what's called a Riverhawk review at the end of a semester. It is a 2-week, it's about 2 weeks. It's like a 2-week, how do I describe it, workshop for certain classes, particularly classes that a lot of students are struggling with. So right now they're offering chemistry, a Riverhawk review. Okay, so wait first. So the Riverhawk review, if you pass the Riverhawk review, you then pass your whole course, regardless of if you were failing the course before you started it. So if you're taking chemistry 1 right now, and your professor has told you they think that you are going to fail, like that you just are not going to pass the class. Some of the classes it has to be a certain grade. So you have to be within like a C range or a D range. So it depends on the class. So this is just kind of like an example, but you could be taking one class, your professor says that you're not going to pass it, but that you could take the Riverhawk review. And if you pass the Riverhawk review, then you pass the whole class. So keep in mind that's this year it's $250 and it's offered for chemistry 1, chemistry 2, organic chemistry 1, Orgo 2A, Orgo 2B, pre-calculus, college writing 1, college writing 2, and college writing studio. And I think that's all of them. So if that describes your situation at all, absolutely feel free to reach out to me for that link. It's not too late to sign up, especially if you want to pass that class and not have to pay for a whole other class or take it all over again. Thank you, Esmeralda, put the link in the chat. But anyways, if you're not sure about about whether you're going to pass the class or not, or if you should drop it or not, absolutely feel free to come and talk to me because there's a lot of different avenues that you could take. If you haven't heard of an incomplete, you could take an incomplete. There's this thing called a grade deletion that I don't really suggest until it's something that you can use at any point during your career. And I would suggest not using it until you're like a junior or senior if you have to, and only for certain scenarios. So with that one, definitely talk to an advisor before you try grade deletion. And you could always work with your professor to see if there's any way that you can pass and work late and try to pass the class. Sometimes you won't be able to meet the minimum grade. You might pass the class, but you might not meet the minimum grade to take the next level of the course. So there's a lot of information that goes into this. So make sure that you talk to either me or an advisor before you make a decision about dropping a class.
I also want to add, if there are more simpler questions, you can also ask your peer leader to provide any insight, and you can also ask your faculty advocate for insight. But if there's anything that needs to, like take action, definitely reach out to Jackie to see how she can help. But yeah.
Hey, Jacq, can you introduce yourself to the crowd?
Hi guys, I'm Jacq. I am the AmeriCorps Vista this year with RHSA, and I'm just here to help you guys out with this event. It's nice to see everyone. Are we ready to move on to the next scenario, or are we still working with the one we're currently on?
I think we're good.
All right. So, Jackie, what do you advise a student to do if they don't like their major?
So there's a few things that you can do, and this can also be a complicated question, because it could be a matter of you literally just don't like the content, or it's possible that you enjoy the content that you're learning, but you don't like the professors that you've had, or just their teaching style doesn't mesh well with your learning style. Or maybe there's so many different ways that this could go. So absolutely come to me, talk to me. If you don't like your major, we'll talk about why that is. I always like to remind students too that you don't have to be an A student to graduate with your degree and still be a really good working professional in your field. Your grades do not define you as a professional. I know a lot of people who are great examples of that, and I'd be happy to talk to you about that. But if you like what you're learning, if you like the content, but there are other factors that are making it really hard for you, please feel free to come talk to me, and we will do our best to do anything that we can to help you with your situation. But if you don't like your major, there's a lot of picking a major is exploratory, which, by the way, we do have an exploratory program if you're not sure about your major. But there's a lot of exploration involved with choosing a major, and it has a lot to do with who you are, what you are interested in. So what you value in life, what you're good at, I guess, is I don't say not I guess, but what you're good at just generally can also be a factor. What you know about a career can also be a huge factor. So if you don't know anything about a career and you think that you're interested in it, I highly, highly suggest talking to professors or alumni who work in that field or who have worked in that field before. And figure out, I mentioned a little bit earlier about there were jobs that I've had that I liked the job, but I didn't like the minutia of it, like the day-to-day tasks that I had to do that were repetitive, or that just that I always had to do that I didn't particularly like. So sometimes you're going to take a job and that minutia will make or break it, or you'll take a job and the overall the team that you're in, I feel like I'm getting off topic, but anyways, so understanding the career, what you do in the career on your day-to-day, and what that career means to you, what you value about it. Some students, if money is your motivating factor, then pick a job that matches your motivating factor. If being near your family is your motivating factor, then there are jobs that you can find that you're either good at or that you at least enjoy, that are in the geographic location of where your family is or where they're going to be. Or if you travel a lot, if your family is a military family and you want a job that allows you to visit them often, there are careers that you can take that will help you with that kind of situation. So it really, really depends on your motivations, on what you understand about a career, about jobs within that career. But there are so many things that you can do with a degree. If you haven't checked it out, we do have a subscription to this website called What Can I Do with This Major? So if you go to Career Services website, usually I just Google it, it's the easiest way. So Career Services, uml.edu, what can I do with this major? It'll give you a brief example of a few different jobs you can get with that degree that you have. But there's a lot of different things that you can do. I actually did an interview series with some STEM professors who talked about like career exploration and whether they knew what they wanted to do with their major and whatnot. And a lot of it was, I don't know, I just liked what I was studying. And then I took the first job that I got, just applied to everything and took what I could, and I found my way. And some people talk about how they changed their major a few times or how their career has changed. But a lot of it is just exploration of you and the career and like what you want to do with your life. Thank you.
Very, very well said and very in-depth. Also super helpful. Thank you. So let's say a student comes into your office. They have holds on their account and they don't know what those holds mean or who to ask about them. Can you simplify the reasons for the holds and point them in the right directions to get those removed?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So there are a lot of different holds that a student can have. And I'm more than happy to talk to you about those holds and how to get them lifted, especially advising holds. I can basically everybody who's here, I can help you with registering for classes for next year. And I can absolutely help you. I can lift advising holds, but I can only do that for students who are registering for their sophomore, junior, and senior years, which should be will mostly be all of you, just depending on different factors. If you are registering for your first, I think it's 30 credits, makes the freshman year, you have to talk to your faculty advisor. And that's just how the system works, because your faculty advisor understands a lot of the details of the classes. And if you're struggling with one class, then maybe you should split up. Maybe you should take, instead of taking, like, let's say that you're taking Calc 1 and you need to take Calc 2 next semester. Your professor will be able to say like, oh, you can take Calc 2 next semester, but this other class, maybe you'll want to wait until the following year to take it because it's also very calculus heavy, even though the title has nothing to do with calculus. So your faculty advisor will have a lot of information about the classes, what goes into the classes, and what areas students typically struggle in. So they'll be able to understand like patterns of like, oh, usually students who struggle in this class will often struggle in this other class. Whereas I do a lot more general advising. I can tell you about prerequisites, and I can tell you like how to, like when you can take certain classes a little bit later and when you absolutely cannot, and whether a course is offered only in the spring or if it's offered in both the spring and the fall. So a little bit more general information. But anyways, in depth about advising holds. Tangents, that's me. So all of your holds I can absolutely help you with. Sometimes it's a matter of just me connecting you to the next resource, and that's totally fine. I totally don't mind if you just come to me and you're like, hey, like, what do I do with this hold? What even is it? And I'm like, okay, this is what it is, but you have to talk to this other office. That's totally fine. But yeah, you can absolutely come to me if you need any help with holds.
Amazing. So helpful. Always here for students. I love it. All right. So as a student, I feel like every single week I am trying my best, but I just run out of time and I feel like I never get any breaks to do anything besides schoolwork. What can I do here to try and lessen the load and make school funner and a little bit easier?
Yeah. So it really depends on your situation. And I'm going to say this for like every question. It depends on your situation because it does. So it depends on where that time is going, and kind of assessing what you can do to give yourself additional time, because it is super, super important that you don't just do work and school 100% of the time. You need time to yourself. You need time to relax. And relaxing for everybody is different. For me, it's pulling myself up in my bedroom and playing video games for like 5 hours straight. And for somebody else, it might be going out with their friends or going for a really long hike. Like it just depends on you. But figuring out where all of your time is going and what we can do to kind of remedy that is really where we would need to start with that. So it would be great if you could make an appointment with me and we can just talk about you and your life and what's going on. And like, is it just a matter of content? Maybe if you are able to find a tutor who works well with you, just like professors, everybody's tutoring style is different and every professor's teaching style is different. And your learning style might not mesh well with a specific tutor. There are different tutors that you can try. But is it a content issue that a lot of your time is going into learning something that maybe a tutor could help you learn a little bit quicker? Sometimes it's a matter of actual time management and like figuring out when you should be doing something, or sometimes it's motivation. If you don't have the motivation to do your homework and you're sitting there for an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, like sluggishly getting through your work, maybe helping you find some source of motivation or accountability can help you with getting through that work a little bit quicker. So it really just depends on you, and I'm more than happy to help you with figuring that out or trying different things. I work with students to make academic plans, and that's different for everybody. Some students, it's literally just make sure you schedule free time for yourself and make sure that you actually try to enjoy it. Because a lot of students, they feel guilty, like taking time to themselves because there's always something that they could be doing. And you know what, that's just life. There is always going to be something that you could be doing that is not as enjoyable as free time, but it's still important that you take that time to yourself. So please reach out to me if you have any issues with like time management, motivation. Trust me, I was there. ADHD, motivation was a huge issue with me in college. But yeah, please reach out to me.
All right, perfect. Yes, you guys heard her. Reach out to her, set some appointments as we're nearing the end of the semester. Jackie, you also have this wonderful thing, I believe twice a week, called Hot Chocolate and Homework. Can you tell us a little bit more about that and what kind of opportunities there are for students there to get connected with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So this semester it was basically an event run by me, Homework and Hot Chocolate, literally just a study session or homework session in our classroom. I'm looking at it as if you guys can see what I'm seeing here on the 5th floor of O'Leary Library. Next year, it'll be run by peer leaders. So then there's a little bit more flexibility with that. They'll be able to host it on North Campus and on North Campus and on East Campus. And hopefully students feel, or you guys all feel a little bit more comfortable with like reaching out to your peer leaders and spending some time with them. I know a lot of students have enjoyed the Homework and Hot Chocolate. There's like a really good structure to it where I offer students the opportunity. And I actually, if you ever just want to come to the RHSA suite on the 5th floor of O'Leary, sometimes I'll have students who sit out here and they'll let me know that they're doing homework. And if they have any like problems with like motivation, I'll ask them, what are you working on? What's your goal? Like, how can we measure that you're getting your work done? And I'll just come out and check on them periodically to see how well they're doing with their work and if they've made progress. But that was also something that I offered during Homework and Hot Chocolate, and your peer leaders will be there next semester to help you with that. I'm also hoping to host virtual study sessions that maybe that'll help students with homework. But just creating an environment, a moderately quiet environment to do work in that where other people are being productive can really help with getting work done. And having that sort of accountability of your friends or your peer leaders or your classmates who might join you, and being able to do work together like that in like an environment that might be helpful to you. Don't know if I answered that whole question.
Thank you so much. Wanted to make sure that everyone knew about this great opportunity. All right, I'd love to open it up now to any questions that you guys might have thought of over the course of the discussion or any that you came into the conversation with. Feel free to pop it in the chat or, just unmic and speak.
Thank you guys. Fantastic questions. Really enjoying this.
There we go. Esmeralda, she said, raise your hand if any of you have met with Jackie before. Do we have anyone who's had that opportunity yet?
You can also raise your virtual hand.
I forgot about real hands for a second, not gonna lie. Been in Zoom calls too much.
Exactly. Leonella said yes, yes. Hello, great. Nice to meet you.
All right, and if we don't have any questions from you guys, you're obviously more than welcome to reach out to Jackie, Esmeralda, or I at any point with any questions. But we are set to wrap this up then, and we will see you guys in a few hours here in Suite 500 for end of semester celebration.
No, so there is no freshman end of semester celebration. So I don't know where that came from. On Tuesday, there is tabling happening from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. in U Crossing, and that's the last wildcard event of the semester. So if any of you have not met, need just one more event, you can go to this. I will be there, Jackie will be there, make a little goodie bag, and come to that. And it's pop-in. You don't have to stay, obviously, for 2 hours.
Thank you so much.
No, you have to stay.
Thank you for clarifying a lot of events this semester. And we do have Cameron piped up here in the chat, said, sometimes I'll sit down and simply cannot force myself to focus. My mind just wanders and I can't stop daydreaming, and I'll end up leaving the library after 3 hours with nothing done. Jackie, do you have any input here for the student?
Yeah, so it totally depends. Every success plan for each student is going to be different. So I could suggest a million things and you might have tried them all. So your best bet is to meet with me and we can talk about it. Sometimes it just depends on what it is in particular that you struggle with, and what you've tried, and we might make 3 different plans and none of them work, and we just have to keep moving on and trying different things. A lot of times having someone else around you who is also doing work with you, and not just like the general atmosphere of like sitting in a library, like having somebody that that is there to do work with you can really help. And if you've never tried the Pomodoro method, I highly suggest it. I use it myself because I struggled with motivation in college, and I still struggle with motivation, and I'm finishing up my graduate degree. But if you haven't tried the Pomodoro method, absolutely try that out. It's basically where you do a certain amount of time where you do work, and then a certain amount of time that you have a break. And then you repeat that. But what I do when I'm really struggling is I do 5 minutes of work and a 15 to 20 minute break, depending on my needs that day. It's obviously fantastic and I guess preferred in a way if you can do like 15 minutes of work and a 10-minute break, and then 20 minutes of work and a 5-minute break. But if that's not realistic for you, then there's no reason to try doing that. For me, it's just not realistic for me to think like, yeah, I can sit down and do 20 minutes of homework and a 5-minute break. I'll be fine. No, it's not going to work for me. So I do what works for me, because I'd rather do a total of 30 minutes of work in like an hour time span than nothing at all in a 2-hour time span. So I'll sit down and I'll do 5 minutes of work, and I'll do 15 to 20 minute break, and then I'll do 10 minutes of work. And I'll kind of reassess from there of like, how exhausting was this? Can I do another 10 minutes? Can I go further? Can I do 15, 20 minutes of work? Or do I have to go back to 5 minutes? And having that really, really short time span can help a lot with like getting over the, I guess, cognitive hump of not being able to start work or not being able to continue work, because it's only like a short minute. It's a short minute. It's only a short period of time. And it just kind of depends on you, on like what you can do. If you need to make it shorter, then make it shorter. Sometimes having somebody who can hold you accountable for your work kind of puts a level of pressure on you. I work really well with pressure. So like, when I was in college, I had the bad habit of waiting until close to the deadline. Like if I had a project that was due in a month, I'd wait until like the last week. And that caused so much stress. And it made it so difficult for me to enjoy my time in college. And I wish that I had a success coach who could help me with that. But sometimes having a simulated level of pressure. So like how I said, I'll have students who sit out here and I'll check in on them. They have a simulated level of pressure of like, my success coach is going to check in on me. If I have nothing done, am I going to be embarrassed? Am I going to like feel the pressure of needing to get work done? Sometimes your friends can simulate that pressure. It just kind of depends on what you need. You could always do simulated deadlines as well. So if you wanted to just email me, even if you never want to like see me in person, you could just email me, hey, this is the project that I'm working on. This is what I've gotten done so far. By next Monday, I want to have X amount of work done. And then you could send me, I could check in with you and say, hey, what have you got done so far? And you can email me like a screenshot of the work that you've done, or just like attach a copy of whatever you're doing. And that could be like a simulated deadline. And we could make deadlines throughout the semester so that you don't just wait until the very end. But it really depends. So like if deadlines don't help you, then that kind of advice is not going to do anything for you. If motivation is not your issue, then advice about motivation is not going to help you. So it kind of just depends on you and what you need. And I'm so more than happy to talk to you about that and see what we can do to help you get through your work.
Thank you so much. Do we have any final questions or any final comments before we wrap up here for the night? And thank you, Esmeralda, for including all of our contact info here. If you guys want to copy and paste this into a sticky note or anything before we log off. And I think that should be probably good for the night. Esmeralda, Jackie, any final comments or thoughts?
Just wanted to remind everybody that you can reach me through your uml.edu/now dashboard. You can also reach me through my Google Voice. If you want to text me, I made a Google Voice. You can also reach me through Discord. I'll copy and paste those again. And then my Google Voice phone number is 978-728-9566 if you want to text me. But yeah, let me know if you have any questions, if you need any assistance with anything. I'm also more than happy to meet with you guys at the beginning of the semester so that we can make an academic plan. Even if it's just like writing down all the assignments that you have due for the next 2 weeks. More than happy to sit with you while we do that. So let me know if you would like to meet at the beginning of the semester. I would love to do success plans with you all. Thank you.
Thank you all for coming. Have a good night.
Have a good night, guys.